Today, ICDO Voices of Change gathered some really prominent panelists coming from different parts of the world. I also want to mention that this is also part of our ICDO Fellowship Program, and ICDO Fellowship Program is an initiative established by ICDO in 2020. By increasing participants' involvement in ICDO activities, the program aims at building a community of individuals as yourselves who are sharing same goals of safeguarding cultural diversity and fostering intercultural dialogues. ICDO Fellows include artists, musicians, authors, activists, influencers, and many other individuals having a meaningful part in our activities. In coordinating and partnering with fellows, ICDO plays a role of a hub where participants can meet, as we're doing today, exchange opinions, and be involved in sustainable development projects. The framework in place at ICDO enables participants to be listened to, encouraged, and empowered in order for them to be more influential and design new and innovative solutions to the challenges which are affecting theirs, but also all of our societies. So I would like to introduce our dear panelists, Mr. Edgar Montenegro, founder of CorpoCampo, Mr. Joaquin Gastelbondo, project manager at CorpoCampo, one of our youngest participants, Sarah Goody, climate activist, also founder of Climate Now, 2020 Diana Award recipient, who is also on advisory board of Born This Way Foundation, and our dear ICDO Fellow. Parisa Taheri, with a special pleasure, our ICDO Honorary Ambassador, fashion curator, and content creator, and very inspirational dear friend. Lidiia Akryshora, she's a journalist and also representative from Ukrainian youth in Vienna. I'm also very glad that she's here since ICDO has been very much involved in Ukrainian emergency relief, and she's representing Ukrainian youth and TUMA organization. So the first part of the virtual panel discussion is dedicated to the inspiring story behind CorpoCampo. In 2003, CorpoCampo was established with the intention of building an economic project based on a sustainable agroforestry model of Amazonian products. Hailing from the rural area of Puerto Asís, Putumayo, one of the most affected regions of the armed conflict in Colombia, since 30 years now, the Montenegro family has become the pioneers of palm and acai economy, opting for a more sustainable and peaceful alternative of the Coca Boom. Nowadays, this family has shown that it is possible to change the possibilities offered by the environment, developing a successful and sustainable business. So I would like to give word to Mr. Montenegro, founder of CorpoCampo, and Mr. Gastelbondo, project manager at CorpoCampo.
Okay, thank you, Josipa. So Edgar will tell us the amazing story of his life and how CorpoCampo became what is now today.
Ok. Bueno, me presento, mi nombre es Edgar Montenegro, soy el fundador de CorpoCampo, que empezó en el 2003, pero antes me debo remontar a la historia somos una familia campesina de una vereda a unos 14 kilómetros de Puerto Asís. Crecimos en la selva, rodeado de animales salvajes. Mi papá llegó en los años 60 a Putumayo a construir inicialmente por madera, pero posteriormente empezó a desarrollar una finca para poder, porque éramos bastantes hermanos, o más de 8 hermanos. Mi mamá y mi papá pues trataron de buscar cómo estudiábamos. Yo estudié por radio, por una emisora que se llamaba Sutatensa en ese entonces. Ahí me eduqué la primaria porque no había escuela, no había energía, no había carreteras. Nos demorábamos cerca de 12 horas para salir del pueblo hasta donde llegábamos, a la selva, que era selva. Y ahí fuimos creciendo. Mi papá empezó a sembrar diferentes cultivos, sembramos para poder mantenernos, pero el sueño se frustraba cuando salíamos al pueblo y no teníamos cómo vender esos productos porque era la única manera de llevar, digamos, el mercado a la casa. Entonces, por allá en el 1980, después de esa frustración, nacen los cultivos de coca y empezamos a ver que ese sí tenía un mercado. Entonces, digamos que esa frustración de niño, que sembramos café, cacao, cardamomo, una serie de productos, nunca los pudimos vender. Y la coca cuando empezó a llegar, pues empezó.
I think we lost Mr.
Yeah.
Montenegro.
Well, Edgar.
Maybe you can translate until he's back.
Yes. Edgar, voy a traducir hasta este punto.
Perdón.
¿Va a traducir
Okay.
hasta este punto?
Dale.
Okay. So,
Dale.
Edgar, he grew up in the rural areas of Putumayo with his family. His father, he arrived for the first time to the Putumayo, which is a department of the Colombian Amazon region, in the 60s. He was victim of armed forced displacement, where he arrived to this region following the timber exploitation trend, in which many migration waves were pushed through this economical boom. And they grew up in a really distant area where everything was very difficult. It was 12 hours walking from the farm that they were established until the nearest town, in which they started to produce some cash crops such as cocoa, cardamomo, and other local products. That was really frustrating because once they arrived to sell these products, there wasn't a market that helped them sell all of the products that they had produced, and it was on really cheap prices. So after that, in the 80s, the Coca Boom started in Colombia, first coca plantations, and this was very competitive. So many families, peasant families, started cultivating this illegal crop. Entonces, hágale.
Ok, entonces, digamos que cuando empezamos a llegar la coca empezó a generar violencia en el territorio y llegó una persona influyente en la comunidad, digamos, fue el bisniete del expresidente Concha, que llegó ahí con otro belga y empezaron a influenciar sobre la familia. Entonces le decía a mi mamá que tenían que salir de acá porque no teníamos futuro por el tema de la droga. Teníamos que sacar a ver cómo nos podía educar y él fue el que nos ayudó a salir al pueblo, pues a vivir de lo que pudiéramos. En ese entonces pues hacíamos diferentes actividades, mi mamá tenía restaurantes, alimentaba gente y nos educamos. Si quieres sigue.
So in that time when Edgar's family was cultivating coca, and it was like the daily life in that region. It also started to bring violence to the territory. There were different conflicts caused by the money that was being produced, that it wasn't usual in that time, in that places. And that was when Edgar's mother met a former president of Colombia's nephew, who was doing humanitarian work in the region, and he saw the potential of Edgar, and he started working with this family and guiding and advising Edgar's mother that she had to take Edgar away from that difficult context so he could grow up in a better conditions and manage to develop all of the skills that he naturally presented.
Okay. Ahí. Posteriormente, entonces, empezamos a estudiar en el pueblo y en 1989 llegó una persona que me trajo a la capital. mis hermanos pues siempre no habían tenido buena experiencia en la capital y no tenían cómo pues ayudarme. Lo único que tenía era una bicicleta que había un colegio donde estudié, me rifaron un animal que en Colombia se llama el cuy, que es un rodeador muy pequeño, lo pusieron asado y me consiguieron la bicicleta para yo correr, y con esa bicicleta me sirvió para pagar el pasaje para irme a la capital lleno de sueños, viendo cómo podría también ayudar a cambiar la vida de mi familia, pero también a través de este viaje, mi objetivo era también ayudar a cambiar la vida de las personas que vivían en el municipio y en el territorio. Entonces ahí empezó ya una etapa en la ciudad de Bogotá a educarme y a prepararme para poder, pues con mismos medios, porque no había forma de cómo me pudieran ayudar a financiar mis estudios, sino que yo trabajaba y estudiaba en la noche.
So in 1989, Edgar's family did a they managed to sell a bicycle that they had, so they could send Edgar to study in the capital city of Bogota, and he went there and he followed his studies, in which he had to finance those studies by working part-time. And he always had the idea to come back and help the communities that had all of these difficulties to develop their own projects. Esto, Edgar.
A pesar de que estaba solo en la ciudad, no tenía recursos, siempre soñaba en que teníamos que cambiar toda la historia de la familia, y que mi reto era no devolverme, porque muchas veces tenía el deseo, porque estaba solo, no había nadie, pero sin embargo la fuerza de la voluntad que tenía de poder superar todos esos obstáculos me hacían más fuerte. Así terminé pues estudiar, ya empecé a trabajar en una compañía, y en 1995 arranca un proyecto del Plan Colombia en el gobierno de Andrés Pastrana, en el cual las Naciones Unidas, USAID y el gobierno colombiano, a través de un organismo llamado el Plante, montaron una planta de palmito en Puerto Asís, a raíz de un paro cocalero que hubo de los más grandes en Putumayo, porque Putumayo se convirtió en esa época en uno de los departamentos de mayor producción de coca del sur de Colombia.
Edgar continued his studies. He finalized his studies, actually, and he managed to get a job in the capital city, working on an enterprise. And well, in the 1995, a program that was financed by the U.S. government, in which was the first program to do the voluntary substitution of illegal crops. And this program, they financed crops to produce palm hearts, and they also gave a processing plant to produce these palm hearts to the communities, because Putumayo became the principal hotspot of illegal coca crops.
Bueno, entonces al arrancar empezamos, este proyecto era de sustituir cultivos de coca, en el cual donde hubieran cultivos de coca sembráramos palmito. Mi familia fueron los primeros que sembramos 7 hectáreas, y se formaron 5 asociaciones de productores para constituir una planta en la cual se montó en Puerto Asís, y a la vez, como yo era miembro de la familia que vivía en Bogotá, yo empecé a poner los primeros cajas de palmito. Me acuerdo tanto que me pagaban solamente pues el 10% de lo que vendiera. Si vendía me pagaban, si no, no vendía. Y empecé a conseguir clientes, cogía las cajas, a veces no me quedaba para el taxi, pues tocaba ir al bus, conseguir los clientes, llevar los productos, pero poco a poco fuimos abriendo el mercado. Y de esta manera pues abrimos Carrefour, empezamos a abrir otros supermercados, pero había una diferencia. Mi hermano era parte de la junta directiva y había una diferencia en que no estaban de acuerdo. Entonces llegó el momento en que me quitaron la distribución en Bogotá.
As Edgar was living in the capital city, he started working. Well, Edgar's family participated in this program. They were the first beneficiaries of this program to substitute the illegal cocoa crops by establishing palm heart crops. And Edgar helped this project in commercializing in the capital city the products they produced. So he started working on a 10% basis of the sales that he made, and he started getting to know different clients. But the organization that was managing the processing plant and the whole supply chain, they hadn't the skills to do the management of what we need to do when you're managing a business. So the cash flow started going negative, and this business model ended up on bankruptcy. So that's until that moment what Edgar told. Listo, Edgar.
Entonces, al quitarnos la distribución, buscamos, ya teníamos un mercado, ya había nacido CorpoCampo en el 2003. Entonces empezamos a buscar una proveeduría y fue cuando arrancamos en una planta en el Pacífico colombiano, en Cauca, Colombia. Es la costa pacífica. Ahí empezamos a desarrollar una planta que estaba abandonada. Empezamos a producíamos, hasta que algún día un cliente en Francia me llamó y me dijo, mira, yo quiero comprarte palmito. Y entonces me dijo, ¿qué necesita para que me mandes 3 contenedores mensuales? Yo le dije, pues dinero, necesitamos dinero. ¿Cuánto dijo? Pues yo le dije $500,000, y eso hizo que me prestara los primeros $10,000, porque nosotros en el Pacífico nos movemos por mareas, o sea, el nivel del agua baja y sube, y a través de eso era que nos movíamos. Entonces él nos prestó $10,000 fue el primer capital para las canoas.
So as Edgar had been working in the commercial area of this initiative, when the business model ended up in bankruptcy, he still had the clients demanding for the raw material for the products. So there was this French client that he identified the potential that Colombia had for the palm heart industry, and the skill that Edgar had managed to prove in the market. So he ended up borrowing Edgar $10,000 so that he started his own business, in which he went to Guapi, that it's another town in the Pacific region that is also a really precarious economy and depressed area of Colombia, but that has huge potential regarding the natural resources and the cultural diversity. And Edgar started working with the ethnic communities that are in the Pacific region by developing this sustainable value chain of using the natural palm hearts that grow in the jungle through a sustainable way. And that's how CorpoCampo started in 2003.
Una vez ya entonces empezamos a vender, buscamos financiación con los bancos, los clientes. Yo me llevé un día el cliente y le dije, mire, necesito que me preste plata porque ya las comunidades tocaba pagar por anticipado. Y logramos al final poner poner otra planta en producción y empezar a producir palmito desde las otras fábricas. Así que eso nos dio la oportunidad también de ampliar más la producción, generar ventas, y en el 2014 nos llaman otra vez de la planta de Putumayo que querían volver a trabajar con nosotros, y en ese entonces pues fue cuando empezamos ya a desarrollar el palmito, teniendo en cuenta que pues era de mi territorio y quería poder desarrollar esa parte con ellos, o sea, en esa parte trabajar con ellos también, sabiendo que era parte de la familia nuestra y el objetivo que había salido de allá.
Okay, so as the market grew and it became successful, other communities started knowing about this market opportunity, and CorpoCampo managed to open up with other communities, other processing plants, such as in Tumaco, that it's another municipality of the Pacific region. And after that, in Putumayo, they got to know of the success that CorpoCampo was managing. So they called Edgar and they told him that they asked him to come back to Putumayo and help them like organize the processing plant that was like not working in that time. Listo, Edgar.
The mic.
Bueno, ya entonces arrancamos con la planta de Putumayo y empezamos también a producir, a ver la fruta que tenía el palmito que no se aprovechaba y empezamos a desarrollar también otro proyecto que era la fruta del azaí. Ahí nace el azaí. Empezamos a desarrollar también la pulpa, los productos. Fuimos a Brasil, conocimos un poquito más de eso y desarrollamos una nueva unidad de negocio. En el 2017 nos incluyó las Naciones Unidas y íbamos siempre a una feria llamada Biofac en Alemania y ahí desarrollamos digamos, otros clientes y ahí nos vio las Naciones Unidas y nos incluyó dentro del negocio de los negocios inclusivos del BCTA, en el cual fuimos miembros a partir del 2017 y de ahí nos proclamaron para el premio Business for Peace, que es los negocios para la paz en Noruega, del cual fuimos galardonados en el 2018.
So, like in 2009, as market was growing, CorpoCampo was managed to sustain a financial equilibrium. The business also started seeing the opportunity to diversify its products, and Edgar identified that the palm of acai, that it was the same that it was being used for the palm heart. Well, in Colombia, we didn't know, or they didn't know in that time, that acai fruit had also demanding markets. So as he traveled to Brazil, that they are also leaders of the international market for palm hearts, he got to know acai market, and he saw a great opportunity to make use of this natural resource, because it also offered a more sustainable model, as you are only harvesting the fruits. You don't have to harvest the palm heart. So CorpoCampo started selling also acai fruit. And in 2017, CorpoCampo used to participate on a fair, market fair in Germany that's called BioFact. And there he met the initiative or the platform of the United Nations that is called Business Call to Action. And CorpoCampo subscribed to this platform, as it was a sustainable development initiative, and that is using like the market to benefit communities and the environment. And from the BCTA, they posted CorpoCampo to be nominated for the Oslo Business Peace Award, in which for 2018, CorpoCampo won that prize. And after that, it met, well, a lot of other actors that helped them, that now Edgar is going to explain more about it. Edgar. El micrófono, Edgar, que estás desactivado.
Premio a través del gobierno noruego nos hizo un apoyo para apoyar a un proyecto de 800 hectáreas, de las cuales hoy somos, Joaquín es parte del equipo y arranca lo que es una etapa de la ONG que ya le pasaría a Joaquín para que continúe ahí. Muchas gracias.
So, having won this award, in 2018, the Norwegian government identified the huge potential that CorpoCampo was offering in terms of providing incomes for communities that are located in really important biological hotspots and that also are affected by armed conflict. And the Norwegian Agency for Development, NORAD, granted a project so that CorpoCampo could establish 800 acres with 800 families, is 1 acre each family, of agroforestry systems based on acai, and promote the well acai harvesting, in which, if you don't know, acai grows naturally in the forest with densities that enable communities that don't have soils suitable for agriculture to generate an income by a sustainable use of the fruit that is produced in this by these palms. So we currently are working on promoting the scaling up the supply chain in Colombia, and this has helped us not only protect the forest as people start valuing standing forests because it's giving them like a profit, but also we're working on regenerating the soils of previously deforested areas by establishing these agroforestry systems. So we currently are impacting more than 1,300 people in CorpoCampo's value chain, and we are selling in international and national markets, which is like an important aspect to have in mind because it's giving social and environmental benefits through engaging in the market. So basically, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Edgar, and thank you also for translating. I think we're all impressed with the story and with the family and all the struggles, and especially amazed that when given the opportunity, Mr. Edgar decided to this acquired knowledge that he has to go back to his communities and give back. This is especially wonderful and inspirational. And not only that, by choosing the more sustainable production and especially also giving the background of conflict, which was going on for many years, and it's still a very current issue, affecting more than 800 families, you said, and 1,300 people, and also doing not only affecting the families, but also working on the deforested area and having this social impact and protecting the forest is a huge social impact which is being done by the family and by the company. And this is a wonderful not only idea, but actually action and benefiting so many communities. And this year topic of Long Nights of Interculturality is actually peace and cultural diversity, but this what you're doing is also contributing to the peace among communities that you're working with, and I'm very happy that you had a chance to present all of this great work and achievement, and to motivate others that even though there are struggles and challenges, there is still a way how to do impact not only to your family but also to communities around. So I congratulate you on all of this hard work and achievements.
Thank you, Josepa. Thank you for the invitation and the space.
Mm-hmm. And if there is one message that you would like to send, would you like to share that before we move on to other panelists?
Yeah, just a final message, and is the importance to start seeing how market can create change that can improve the lives of the people if you do it on a responsible way, and always be humble. As you can see, Edgar Montenegro is a businessman, but he is also very humble. So that's one of the most potential, I think, aspects of CorpoCampo. So basically, that's the message.
Thank you so much, Mr. Joaquin. for giving us this message and also translating Mr. Edgar's history. ICDO is also working with indigenous communities and marginalized communities, so we know how important actually this work is. So thank you both. This was very inspiring. And now we will move to the next part of the panel, and I will invite other panelists to join the discussion. I will briefly introduce you to Sarah Goody, a 17 years old climate activist and founder of Climate Now, an international youth-led organization which is focused on educating and empowering young people to take climate action. I think also, Sarah, you can take something from the story from Mr. Edgar. Sarah is the chair of the Corte Madera Climate Action Committee, making history as the youngest person to chair a committee in her town. She's a published author with work in Teen Vogue, so very accomplished, and the San Francisco Chronicle. In 2020, Sarah received the Princess Diana Award, the highest actually young person that has achieved for social action and humanitarian efforts. Most recently, Sarah became an advisory board member at the Born This Way Foundation, led by Lady Gaga and Cynthia Germanotta. So I think, Sarah, you can take some wise words from Mr. Edgar, and also you also became an entrepreneur in a very young age of 16, and you have a very strong voice for climate activism. So you're also advocate for mental health in Born This Way Foundation, and you're also part of the large initiative with a lot of prominent personalities. So what would you like to highlight today and familiarize yourself and our audience more?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for that introduction. And I mean, just wow, I'm so inspired and so blown away by Edgar and Joaquin, and all of the work that you have both been doing is just truly inspirational. And you know, I'm excited to hear more about the initiative that you're doing. As was said, my name is Sarah Goody. I'm a 17-year-old youth climate activist from California in the United States. My journey really began when I was 12 years old. I was in a science class, and my teacher first introduced this concept of climate change to me, and that's what really set my passion for climate activism, was realizing that the issue of climate change wasn't just an issue of the future, but was an issue of the present, and an issue that my specific and local community had been dealing with for years, from local sea level rise to wildfires, which have been absolutely insane here in California over the past few years and the past decade. And that really set me on a journey of getting involved in different organizations. I eventually got involved with the Fridays for Future movement at around the time that Greta Thunberg was beginning her own climate strikes. I brought that to my community, striking outside of San Francisco City Hall and the San Francisco Ferry Building for about, I want to say, like 60 weeks. It was a long time up until the COVID pandemic. From there, got really passionate about public speaking, started my own organization that was mentioned before, Climate Now, which focuses on education and empowerment services for young people to help them get more involved in the climate movement. And really why I'm kind of highlighting all of these things is to really touch on what, you know, I hope my message and my takeaway can be today, which is that activism and humanitarianism is a very intersectional practice, and that, you know, you have a very unique and a very special voice and very unique and special passions to yourself, and that can allow you to go out and take action that is going to change the world. I mean, whether you're passionate about climate change or about sustainable agriculture or about mental health or, you know, gender equality, there are so many ways to get involved, to go out there and to shine your impact on the world. And being an activism is not being one thing. And what I really realized over the years is that through impacting climate change, I can also impact these other social justice issues that I'm really passionate about. I mean, just look at through the Born This Way Foundation, being able to impact that kind of sphere of mental health and of youth empowerment, and then going into Climate Now and being able to work on education and to work on public speaking and writing and journalism. And just what I hope to share with everyone today is that you can explore your own passions and you can still have an impact on whatever it is that you're passionate about. And just because you might be focusing on one sphere doesn't mean that you're not impacting the rest of the world along with that. And, you know, at 17, I sometimes feel like maybe I'm 50 or I'm 60 years old. I've lived a lot of experiences, but the key kind of message that I've taken away from kind of my journey and my activism is that everyone has something to contribute to social justice movements. And it's just about finding what's unique to you and not being afraid to speak up and share your voice.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Yes, you're very inspirational, and each of our panelists today is actually acting and inspiring. So I'm very happy that we are here to inspire others to act and do the steps and make a change. Because as you mentioned, everyone can do something in their sphere and field, but also and beyond, and it's affecting all of us. So I will move on to the next panelist so everyone has a chance to introduce a little bit. Parisa, while growing up in refugee after her family who lived in Iran lost everything during the Iran-Iraq war, Parisa faced many difficulties due to feeling different from the people she was surrounded with. Nevertheless, by staying true to herself, her passion and her intuition, she became an inspiration for others and shared her love for fashion, but not only by becoming a fashion curator, but also by putting the legendary fashion icon Iris Apfel on the social media map. On an occasional digital content creator, Parisa also works hard as an ambassador for Evolve. Last but not least, she's also our ICDO Honorary Ambassador who works with the ICDO team on different projects and initiatives that are having impact around the world. So Parisa, your followers know that you are the person behind creation of legendary Iris Apfel account. Throughout the years, you managed to attract hundreds of thousands of followers on social media and become one of the most known lifestyle influencers in Austria. Is there something from your work that you would like to highlight in your experience?
Hi, Josipa. Thank you. Hi, Josipa. Hi again, everyone. First of all, thank you. I feel very honored to be in this live because everyone is so inspiring and I'm so enjoying all these insights that everyone is putting in. And coming back to the story of Iris Apfel, well, something I learned from this story, I learned a lot from creating a page for Iris Apfel, as I also explained last year. And the main highlight for me was to learn how drastically social media can change one person's life. Because before that, for example, she was well known in New York among wealthy families, among, I don't know, fashion museums in Paris, but not well known, but everyone. And then, I mean, starting a page for fun for her and without her knowing that, and seeing how people were inspired by her without even she knew about that. And then later, when she contacted me to ask what's this story about, and I told her that she can do this and that she was actually receiving job opportunities and collaboration opportunities through Instagram. And then the inspiring part for me was that a few years after that, almost everyone on this planet knows her. Today, if you look, if you tell someone, do you know Iris Apfel? I think 90% of people say yes, especially in big cities. And it was an example for me how social media can change a person's life. And then I realized, okay, this is a very important platform, and why not using it as an educational platform? Because if so many people are active and are ready to receive information and be inspired through social media, why not using it as an educational platform? And that's where I started, because before that I was just using it as, I was just posting pictures, random pictures for entertainment and just showing how you can style this and that. And then after that I started, and to be honest, for example, I have vitiligo since 6 years, okay? And I was hiding it, I was editing it, and then after that I was like, okay, maybe it's time that I have to talk about the realities to people, like change something. And then I love the idea. I mean, today I try to also talk about acceptance. I show my vitiligo in all my videos, and I'm very proud of that. And I started to love myself. So it shows how social media can change a life of a person. And then why not using it as an educational platform, which you guys are doing a great job, and I'm very proud of you. I think more and more corporations and institutes, they have to follow your steps and take advantage of this platform.
Thank you, Parisa. You have such a diverse interests and activities, and you're using your platform for creativity. And we're also happy in ICDO that you're using your platform very creatively to also jointly to promote different causes, social causes, climate. We had a project, ICDO Manifiesta, which was actually about loss of biodiversity. This year we are promoting peace and cultural diversity, different topics throughout this week, etc. So with Parisa, we have a very interesting and very creative way how to reach out to more people, also to young people, to make them interested into the social causes and how to do social impact is very important. Social media platforms are really important in how to actually create the message, and Parisa is actually finding her way in also contributing a lot to, as she said, education and visibility and also self-empowerment also, which is really important to many of us around the world. So thank you, Parisa, for doing so much. We're very glad to have you here.
Thank you very much.
And Lidiia, a graduate of journalism, and also communication studies, we actually got in contact since ICDO was doing Ukrainian relief. We accommodated more than 6,000 Ukrainians. As you know, we all know it's ongoing conflict and aggression which is happening, and we accommodated mostly women and children. This is a very harsh topic, but nevertheless, through our humanitarian relief program, we have met so many inspirational people and organizations who are helping, volunteers who are doing a lot. So it is my really honor to have Lidiia, who's very diverse and who has very diverse and multicultural experience, and that brought her to work in the Ukrainian-European Dialogue Project and the Institute for Human Sciences. And for the last few years, she has been working in communication, organizing projects meant to serve as a blueprint for cultural diplomacy and social activism. She has also been involved in variety activities, starting with writing for Biber magazine, Presse, Deutsche Welle, so a lot of Austrian magazines, and organizing conferences on journalism and media here in Vienna. Her experiences led her to become the head of TUMA, which is Ukrainian youth organization in Austria, while at the same time engaging as a freelance journalist. So Lidiia, you're very much involved in the Ukrainian youth organization in Austria, and alongside your career in journalism and communication. Are there some projects or your personal projects that you would like to highlight and introduce today?
Thank you so much for the invitation, but also it seems to be one of my favorite activities to be among such inspired people to get inspiration, but also I hope also to give to others. And I'm extremely honored to present TUMA along with such an amazing board of activists and inspiring people as we have now on this panel. So TUMA was founded in 2010, actually, and at the beginning, we, with our organization, were helping, like our organization, because I joined TUMA in 2013, helping settle down Ukrainians in Austria to support, to find some accommodation, and just basically to hang around and to be better integrated. But since in 2014, Euromaidan revolution happened, the demand on Ukrainian culture also an exchange, and as country as so of course opened borders, and we saw that there is a constant need but also demand to bring the information about Ukraine. So we have started to shift our focus to more cultural, educational, and also back at 2014, but also now humanitarian help and any possible help to finish the Russian aggression in Ukraine. And since 2014, we have been organizing literary readings, conferences, Erasmus Plus projects, how to engage more young people to be active in local communities, but also back at that time in 2015, 2016, how thanks to social media, but also local newspapers to be active and to make your input in development, but also local activism. We have been doing also Ukrainian film days in 2015, 2019, Stammtisch, like inviting inspirational and Ukrainians who has realized in the profession and here in Austria to give an input, but also to inspire further people and to get better integrated into the society. But of course, one of my favorite and very dear project to my heart, but also to all our organization, and I think we have managed to do with these projects a really great piece of cultural diplomacy and diversity, is Ukrainian Ball in Vienna. And we are doing this Ukrainian charity ball since 2015, and in 2020 it was the 5th time. And Ukrainian ball serves the two main goals, so to say. It's a charity ball, and we even managed to have motto, tanzen helfen, like help while you are dancing. And I think it's an extremely nice way of communicating that actually to do some good stuff and to do good causes and to promote diversity and social activism, sometimes you don't need to do anything except of dancing, so to say. So it's a great starting point to get inspired, but push or involve different people in different sphere to be active further, starting from such a nice cause. And the second goal is to be this bridge between Austria and Ukraine, bridge of cultural diplomacy, and also through such a informal but also dancing inspirational way to get to know other culture and to be inspired and to be curious about other cultures. Like to be curious about other cultures, but also we are promoting the ball also in that sense that it's everything by Austrian tradition, but also with Ukrainian charm. And maybe also another one of my favorite projects, which we have started in 2021, it's online archive interactive Ukrainian Vienna. So to get a little bit of history in Austria, Ukrainian history in Austria and Vienna, since it is well known, since it is well possible from 16th century till nowadays, everything regards people, personalities, events, objects, building has happened So in the same way, people can get to learn about Ukrainian culture here, but also get inspired what has happened here in Austria, to learn about both cultures, actually, about Austrian and about Ukrainian. So, and of course, I cannot miss the opportunity, hopefully, to invite you to the next Ukrainian charity ball, hopefully next February. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lidiia, so much. We in ICDO know that culture is really important, especially when there are no in such crisis and when the war is happening. It's really important to give visibility to Ukrainian heritage and culture, and that's why we are very glad that your organization TUMA is participating in the Long Nights of Interculturality. And actually, for you that are still in Vienna or are in Austria, as part of our art exhibition, Peace and Cultural Diversity, you can still visit for the next 2 weeks from 9 till 5. Our ICDO exhibition, which also has presented part of Ukrainian heritage and also part of contemporary happenings from our ICDO team, who took photos actually in Ukraine from families that stayed in Ukraine and actually families that we helped relocate in Europe. So and also 36 other artists are being presented at the art exhibition. So culture is really important, and I'm so happy that we can cooperate on giving more visibility. So being said that, I would like to ask everyone one question, because we know how important it is to give visibility, cooperation, to share knowledge, experiences, and ideas. So in your opinion, how important it is to cooperate with NGOs like ICDO or others to spread the message of safeguarding diversity and inclusion together, and actually to contribute to global culture of equity, tolerance, and respect of human rights?
I mean, I can start. I think that the best way to promote inclusivity is to be inclusive, and that through partnering with NGOs, through coming together, that is perhaps the best way to promote the causes that we are all so passionate about, and to really think about the best ways to be advocating for different groups of people. I mean, the best way to understand how to have an impact is to hear from those who are being impacted. I mean, specifically from my experience working in the climate movement, being able to have conversations with communities who are on the forefront of this crisis, who are being impacted, who are located near, oil and gas refineries, who have had these long-term health impacts. Getting to have those conversations really helps broaden my understanding of the issue and think about different ways that a solution could be applicable to those communities. So I think, overall, in a more general and broad sense, that in order to continue promoting diversity, to promote inclusivity, and really to have that come true, and to be diverse and to be inclusive in the work that we're doing, the best way to do that is to be working together, is to be reaching out, meeting new people, just, as we are all doing today, learning more, getting more educated about the topics, and all of that will, lead to a place of more wisdom and more understanding of the ways that we can connect together.
Thank you. Mr. Joaquin, would you like to say something on this topic?
Yeah, of course. Well, I would like to reference my answer on the Colombian context. And as you may already be aware from Edgar's experience, well, cooperation and NGOs play an important role, especially when social conflicts is taking place in a deeply rooted to the history of one country. So in Colombia, we have a big social problem. We still have an armed conflict, regardless of the peace agreement signed in 2016. There are still armed groups, and one of the biggest problem is the drug problem. The war against drugs, and this has had a profound repercussion over coca growers, who are basically peasants. They're looking for a better alternative for their livelihoods, to improve their well-being, and they have been stigmatized as criminals. So Edgar is a great example of how, if you give another chance to people from this rough context, they can make a change, and they can also help others to improve their lives. So basically, is that to understand the difficulties of the different people that live in this planet, and how it's important to bridge, to understand, to be more comprehensive, and following what Sarah was mentioning, be really inclusive. So basically, that's the message I want to share with you guys.
It's very interesting that both you and Sarah are using the word understanding a lot, because this word has been used throughout the whole week during our activities. Is basically a very important message, not to stigmatize, not to discriminate any group of people, to be more inclusive, also to give a chance to understand the circumstances and the background of the people. And thank you, Mr. Joaquin, for highlighting, and we in ICDO, since we work with indigenous communities and also marginalized communities as well in Colombia, we know that sometimes they face discrimination and stigmatization without actually understanding the background, and media also plays an important role here, and also international media, and how certain issues are being portrayed. So it is really important to learn more, to give visibility to struggles, and to, as you also said, to give chance to actually make action. And from your example, we can see when given that chance, you can affect so many communities by action. So thank you for highlighting that. Parisa, Lily, would you like to add on the cooperations with the topic?
Yeah, of course. I would like to link this question to my area of expertise, meaning that when I look at the bloggers and influencers, many of them, they don't really show that they are caring. Maybe they care, but if you visit their pages, you don't see any sign. And I think if corporations today, they are trying hard to show that they have social responsibility actions. They're doing this, they're doing that, they are giving back to society. It is also important for bloggers and influencers who have, they have access to so many people. They can transmit this message at the same time to so many people, and people who are following them to be influenced by them. They are open to receive this message. And therefore, I think it's very important that they use their platform also to take social responsibility actions, and in different ways. If they can do it on their own, because I see some influencers who are doing a great job, a few of them. They are basically collecting money for unfortunate people. They are doing this, doing that. And other people who are participating in projects of nonprofit organizations like ICDO, I think it's very important. And those who are not doing it, I think it's a kind of ignorance that should be addressed, because it's a wasted platform. You're not really making an impact, which is good for the planet.
Thank you so much, Parisa, for addressing this, and thank you for also sharing your platform for addressing social causes and ICDO projects, and doing that, and being so aware of what is needed, and that there is much more that needs to be done, and also to your followers to actually use your platform to raise awareness and educate about certain causes. I think you're a great example for also other influencers that are there. Lidiia, about corporations.
Yeah, definitely. I can only agree and add, and in that context, maybe from my communication expertise and cultural expertise or media expertise, in general, it's very interesting. And I think in general, algorithm and social media, we were hoping they will make us good and they will make a rather positive impact into society. But unfortunately, in general or trendy direction, this is not the case. And I'm always very inspired when I see such a cases as social media are used in such a erfinderisch, like interesting way, and in a modern way also to bring or transmit the message which is needed or like strive for to get the local communities. I also think media, as we see the spreadness of disinformation, propaganda, media, especially local media, are playing extremely important role, and journalists have been named by a lot of intellectuals and historians, actually the heroes of our times. And why and in which context I think media, especially local, can play the role by finding an interesting stories and personal stories, but also like interesting connections, how thanks to also this small project, but also to modern and social media to bring, like with this, thanks to this instrument, to bring these stories to the broader audience. Because once you are seeing what is going on in your community, it's much harder to manipulate you, or it's much harder to ignore when you are made like when you care about things. So it's much harder to ignore, and you will then most likely to participate in a protest or to be able to make a change to stand against injustice and so on. I think also what we are trying to do with TUMA and like trying to bring also culture diplomacy and as a voice of change, maybe to transmit the message, what is very important to we say talk with Ukrainians, but not about Ukrainians. So to take in your stories your community or people you are talking with on subjective level, so you can tell this or implement this with any community or any topic where you would love to bring justice, talk with communities, but not about communities. And this is where I see the impact, because like what are prejudices, what we are having, it's that we put a certain topics and things in frame, and as soon as we will widen our frames, and thanks to this cooperation, thanks to this knowledge, we can widen our frames, and of course in that terms embrace more diversity, but also not only in a way of talking, but also making action. So it can influence us even probably unconsciously. So you will care more.
Thank you, Lidiia. I would like to ask to Sarah, Parisa, and Mr. Joaquin, what is the main message that you would like to transmit today to our audiences and all of those who want to join? And actually, as we talk today, they want how to make a difference. What would be your advice?
So can I start?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I would say my message is that making a change, when you think about change, some of us think about big jump. And I would say it's not correct, because change is basically a collection of baby steps. And those who want to start making a change, I would say that it's the best thing that I found in life is to start from myself, to check if I have any, if in my character there is any area that is impacted by the negative education of a society, of the educational system, of media information, and then, because finding it accepting that you have this issue and owning it and then facing it and then try to unlearn it, and then it's very difficult. For example, if I have, as a person, if I have negative beliefs about some people with a different regional background or racial background, I have to first learn that it's wrong, and then try to get to know those people in the right way. If I start from myself, if I start to change myself, then as also Sarah mentioned, change is a kind of chain. If you change one area, you'll be starting to change other areas. Then if you start to change yourself, then you can take baby steps. And I would say after some time, you will realize that you have done that big jump that you were thinking about, but it would take time. So baby steps is my advice.
Thank you, Sarah and Mr. Joaquin.
Sure. Okay, awesome. I mean, I think that everything that was just said very much encapsulates what it means to be making change and to have an impact. And I think what I would add to that is that even though it can be scary to feel like you're battling one of these larger issues, or to feel like you have to go out and make a change, it can be scary. Oftentimes the hardest part is just making that conscious decision to go out and to get involved. Maybe it's, talking to a friend about an issue that's important to you. Maybe it's going out and getting involved with an organization like ICDO. It's those, that first step of getting involved and of taking action that oftentimes can seem the most daunting. But I promise that once you make that conscious decision and once you start getting involved, it gets a lot more easy and it becomes just something that's part of who you are. So for anyone who's scared to go out to get involved, I just, really like to share with you that the hardest part is just making that first step. And from there, all of it comes. And there are so many incredible people who, as displayed by this panel, are out there creating incredible things, making incredible progress on so many different issues. So you too can be one of those people, and it's just deciding to get involved today.
Yeah, I would like to complement that by saying that it's important to be aware and conscious of the importance of the contribution of each action to society. So there's different ways to be a part of changing. Some people are more activists, some are more like they want to donate part of what their earnings. Some just want to be like in more personal sphere of being good to other people. The important thing is to be aware that any action is gonna make a change, it's gonna make an impact. So be responsible on those actions, and also try to be perseverant in what your goals are. Yeah, if you want to do something, you have to be perseverant on achieving that. And basically, is that will be like my message.
Thank you so much. We also have some messages. I'm not sure if we have enough time. Some questions that were sent to maybe I'll just go through them, and if there is not enough time, well, actually, some of the questions are regarding if any of you have role models that inspired you for your work, and also one of the questions is how to convince individuals that their small changes can have a larger impact in the future. Yeah, so maybe this can also be a for all question, a short one though.
I can go ahead, or Parisa, Elena. I can go ahead because it's so very interesting. The second question. And thank you so much, and it resonates very much with a lot of Ukrainians in me. I think a lot of Ukrainians, like even not most of the Ukrainians, have after 2014 a motto, life motto, which beautifully and very sharp sum up precisely this and what we were talking about. Is you are the drop in the ocean, which means like doesn't matter what you do, but every single action is matter, and drop to the drop becomes the ocean. So it's like you should do the first, you should act, the second, be aware, exactly as we have mentioned our perfect great panelists here, that be aware that it shouldn't be as you shouldn't be like only active, or if you're donating and making a baby step, it doesn't matter, or so on. So every single step is matter. And yeah, this is the short and sharp motto how to make maybe changes, which will have definitely the bigger impact, as we can see now on the example of resistance of Ukrainians, and maybe to the inspiration the Ukrainian people who don't give up inspire me. Thank you.
Absolutely agree with your messages. Parisa, do you want to add something?
Yes, sure. I always, when I discuss with someone about this issue, I always say that we can learn from babies. They cannot walk, they cannot do anything. And then they start walking, they fall down, they again walk, they fall down. And then look at us today, after so many years. We can walk, we can jump, we can dance, we can do everything even without thinking about that. So this is a matter of, exactly as Lidiia said, as adding and adding and adding, and baby steps after baby steps. So after a while, you realize that, well, you have already you have gone miles. And so just thinking about the big jump in the beginning may scare many people, as also Sarah said. So I would say again, we have to learn from babies, just baby steps, baby steps.
Thank you to everyone. I would like to continue this conversation with all of you, but our time is already up. But it's not late for connecting, making change, making baby steps, or even bigger steps. I think all of our panelists have made huge steps, actually, already a lot of steps to make a change, to be vocal. And I'm really, really glad for ICDO Fellows, and also for giving this platform for all of you. I really enjoyed hearing your stories, backgrounds, and I think all of you can be motivated and inspirational in your own ways with your messages to all of our audience. And I hope ICDO, and I know ICDO will continue working with all of you who are willing to make a change, so together we can achieve a lot. And thank you for being with us today. So thank you, and hope that we will continue this wonderful conversation and collaborations in future with all of you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Josipa. Thank you all. Pleasure.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, ICDO, and thanks to everyone.
Thanks to everyone.